the funny thing about bubbles is most people are in denial. When there's a bubble, most people are in denial that it's a bubble, and that's why the bubble exists. So, you have to have an awareness of, why is there a price bubble? Why are some properties or some categories of assets overinflated? If you don't have $1 million yet, you're living a much lesser life than what could be easily available to you with the right guidance. My head coach has freed up a few spots in his calendar to hold one-on-one strategy calls with the highest quality applicants. If you're doing well already and you're looking to accelerate your momentum and do even better, click the link in the description now and apply for your strategy session. More at the end of this video. Emmanuel asks, what do you think about building homes with a builder's loan? Yeah, there's a time and a place for that. What do you think about it? Diego, that's what they're for, what do you think about using a spoon to eat soup? Yeah, if you're going to eat soup, then probably a pretty good idea, yeah. Seems like a pretty good plan. What do you think about using a brush to brush your hair? So yeah, it's called a hair brush. That's what I use. I use a brush. It does a good job. So if you wanted to build a home, and you needed some capital to do that, you'd go get a builder's loan, because that's what a builder's loan is for. Makes a lot of sense to me. Urban says, I heard that multifamily property can bring you better terms compared to single family, and for that reason, it's better to start with those instead of single family. What's your opinion on that? I don't know what better terms means in this context. There's some loan structures that are favorable. We talk about that in the course. There's, you have more discretion to discriminate against, who you rent to. That, if you live in the building, and I believe up to 4 units, I'm just saying that off the top of my head, I think up to a 4-plex, you can decide, who you want is, if you live in the building, you can decide who your other 3 tenants are. If you don't like people that are, speak a certain language or from a certain country or whatever attributes you like or don't like, you can pick people that you personally would like to have as your neighbor because you personally live in the building. Now, if you don't live there, then you have some discrimination laws in most states that says you can't do that. So if you think there's a certain demographic of people that for whatever reason you prefer to live around those type of people and have them as your tenants and neighbors, you're allowed to have a lot more discretion. So I think that's a nice bonus. I think there's a nice thing there. Most people tend to want to live with people that are kind of like them. So, it gives you more latitude to choose to be with people that you would, again, prefer to have as a neighbor versus, somebody that's minimally viable, minimally qualified, but might not be your favorite neighbor. Diego says, hi Derek, happy to be here and see you on a new real estate program. Can you tell us about the project you just finished? Tony told us the key in real estate is to manage contractors well. I spent 33 months on a construction project recently. We just wrapped up a few months ago, renovated 9 properties in that time. If you don't know what you're doing, if you can't communicate effectively with the people that are doing the physical work, they're going to do shitty work. They're going to steal materials. They're going to steal time. They're going to bill you for time that they didn't put in. They're going to find numerous ways to fuck you over. They're going to bill you for high quality drywall and then take that home and use it for their own project. And then they're going to go buy shitty drywall and install that at your project, but you'll get the receipts for the expensive stuff. Same thing with paint, same thing with anything, screws, nails. So there's people out there that'll do all sorts of scumbaggery and theft, and have you overpaying for outrageous amounts for things. So you have to understand the materials that are involved. You have to understand, approximately the labor that's involved in a project. And you got to make sure that people are doing high quality work that you're paying for. And, they're not fucking robbing you in the process. So yeah, you got to be there all the time. You got to be there frequently, check up on them, in my opinion, at least, 3 days a week minimum. Better to go there every day, make sure what's going on. And if you don't do that, just expect to be, robbed in numerous ways. Nicholas says, what's up, Derek? Great seeing you again. Thank you for your time and wisdom. I am on the oil rig as we speak, watching today's lessons. I'm beyond excited for this upcoming weekend opportunity. Thank you again to you and Tony. I fly out in the AM. Choose to conquer. Choose to conquer, Nick. Good to see you, man. Look forward to meeting you in person, bro. Come say hi. Come greet me. Come say hi. We've got 4 days together, so I'm excited to meet you. Looking forward to it, man. Choose to conquer. Joshua says, true, it will never be all green lights. Jeremy says, hey, Derek, thank you for sharing your valuable time and insights. Are there certain types of real estate investments that you try to avoid or focus on if you believe we might be in a bubble? Well, the funny thing about bubbles is most people are in denial. When there's a bubble, most people are in denial that it's a bubble, and that's why the bubble exists. So, you have to have an awareness of, why is there a price bubble? Why are some properties or some categories of assets overinflated? Why is the world misjudging that? And all the rest of the world is wrong, but you're right. So how is that true? Which that can be true. That can be true, but you should second guess yourself a little bit and be able to answer that question. So what do you see that they don't see? Why do you understand it more precisely, more clearly? What are they missing? So, and obviously if you see anything that looks overpriced, don't buy it. Now it's another question, or, should you short it? You kind of have to have big balls and a lot of patience to be aggressively shorting something. And, a lot of patience means you have to have a lot of money too, because, you could be shorting assets that they go down and down and down, or they go up and up and up, and that goes against you. And, you could be right. You could have the right idea, but if your timing's wrong, you might go bankrupt before you're proven right. And that's sad, So I think it's Carl Icahn. He had a saying that, sometimes the stock markets are irrational. Sometimes markets in general are irrational. But the market can remain irrational for longer than you can remain solvent. Right? Meaning that the market can stay doing crazy shit for longer than you can be shorting the market. You might go bankrupt shorting the market. And think of how sad that would be if say you made a nice chunk of money, say you made even a few $1 million nest egg, you're feeling pretty comfortable, and you keep double down, shorting an asset class, and it keeps going up and up and up, and it's going against you, and you're losing your ass. And about the time that you are out of capital, about the time that you go broke, say a week later, a month later, then things turn around, and you were proven right. You were perfectly right. Your thesis was correct, but your timing was wrong. That would bother me. I wouldn't like that. That would bother me for some time. So, especially if it was most of your net worth type investment. So just be careful. Just be careful. And again, and I'm not making fun of your question. You asked a very good question. I'm not making fun of your question in any way. But a bubble is something that, by definition, most people don't think it's a bubble, or it wouldn't exist. The prices wouldn't be that high if other people thought it was a bubble. I thought Tesla stock was a bubble for the last 10 years. I thought Tesla stock has been overpriced for the last 10 years. But man, it went up a lot in the last 10 years. And almost always I thought it was overpriced. I've never owned the stock. I always thought it was a little too high, or a lot too high, depending on the context. I think Elon's a smart man. I think he's pretty brilliant. Elon's a wizard in some ways. Good for Elon. So it's nothing against him. He's everything the man touches turns to fucking gold. Even he missed deadline after deadline, and he's still, the richest guy in the world, or right up there. So good for Elon. No disrespect to Elon. Great guy in most respects. But yeah, man, I just thought it was overpriced. Sometimes he's gone on public and, publicly said that he thinks it's overpriced, which is astounding for, his situation. But, that doesn't mean that the market agreed with me. The stock still remains high. Went up a hell of a lot. I remember I was in a graduate school class. I was doing financial statement analysis was the name of the class, maybe in, 2012 or so. And the stock I think the stock might've been $130 at the time. And, I submitted a report that I thought it should be worth like $72 to $78. I didn't think it should be worth, 130 something. I think that's what the numbers were. It's a decade ago. So, I didn't own the stock then. I never owned the stock. I thought it was too high then, and it went up tremendously since then. So does that mean I was wrong? No, not really. I made a lot of money with a lot of other things. Could I have made more with that? Maybe. I have to look at the numbers. But, you can't buy things that you think are too high. And most of the time, if you do, it won't be Tesla. It won't behave like a Tesla stock. It'll, behave like the bubble that it is, and you lose your ass over time. So, but it's hard to have your market timing perfect. It's hard. Very hard, actually. Anthony says, I understand that buying distressed property is smartest. Aside a property dip in some kind of recession, are there other ways to locate distressed properties at any time? Thanks again. Well, there's a lot of opportunities where maybe somebody has a very strong liquidity preference. So the market might be doing well in general, but somebody wants to sell this shit right now. Maybe the average days on market is 90 days, say. The market might be doing just fine in general. And to get the optimal price, you might have to wait 3 months, 90 or so days. But somebody has a very strong liquidity preference. They want to sell it right now. Well, you can sell it for the right now price is probably cheaper than the optimal price. So if you could find somebody with that strong liquidity preference, what does that look like, you ask? That might be somebody whose parent just died and, they got other things to do than worry about that real estate. So they're just like, let's put it on the market. Let's sell it right now. And if we get a fair offer, we'll just take it and be done with it. A more poignant example is maybe somebody inherits a property and they're a drug addict, They're just a profligate spender, and they're not very responsible with their finances, and they just have a strong liquidity preference. Maybe they have a stripper addiction. I don't know. But you got somebody that has an addictive personality that they want to go gamble, they want to use drugs, their girlfriend's a stripper. I could see why that person wants money right now. And they're not going to get the optimal price. They're going to get the right now price, which is going to be a little bit cheaper. But I agree with your comment, or the first premise in your comment is, the best time is to buy things when the whole damn economy is on sale, when you have a good recession. There's nothing I love more than a good recession. My little heart gets so excited. There's nothing I love more. Jessica says, when you get a loan, do you prioritize paying off that loan quickly, or do you choose to use your returns to compound wealth and slowly pay off a loan? In most cases, I think, and especially with real estate, I wouldn't say this in general. I don't want to pay an extra penny on it. If you had some loans from a few years ago that are, 2.7%, 4%, why the hell would you want to pay it off early? Inflation is higher than that. You could get 5.25% or 5.4% putting it in a money market account. You get 5.35%, 5.4% right now in a money market account. So if you had a 3% loan, why would you ever pay down debt on a 3% when you literally could take the money, put it in you buy a U.S. Treasury for a little over 5%. So if you could buy fucking Treasury notes for 5% and you're paying 3% interest, you get a 2% spread in your favor. Why would you ever want to pay it off? Don't make any sense. On the other side, you could say right now, interest rates are over 7%. And, if they went down, then, either you refinance the property, which is what I would probably do, or consider paying it off earlier. So if interest rates go down to 3% and you're paying 7%, then maybe it makes sense to pay it off. Unless you see a better opportunity in stocks or a different real estate project, depends on the context. But in general, I think it's great that you can have, significant debt for real estate, as long as you're, responsible in managing that debt. That, you don't want debt for stupid things. I don't want to go into debt to buy a cheeseburger. I spend a lot of money on my credit cards, but I pay the bill every month. The banks hate people like me. I never pay a penny in interest. I never pay a penny in interest on a credit card. Nothing. They hate, you know what they call somebody that does that pays their bill every month? They call that a deadbeat. In the banking industry, somebody that pays their bill on time is called a deadbeat, because they're not a very valuable customer. They're less valuable than a normal consumer. So, I think that's hilarious. But additionally, I don't want bad debt, but if you have debt at low interest rates, and it's making you money, you'd rather own 10% of 10 properties that have bigger cash flow than if you just owned 100% of one property. You have the extra managerial effort, obviously, but if you can tolerate the managerial efforts, you're going to make more money having 10% equity in 10 properties that provide positive cash flow than 100% equity in one property. So just as a basic example, I would say think of it that way. You watch this video all the way through, and that tells me you're dedicated to learning more and earning far above average outcomes in your life. Congratulations for that. But now it's time to take action. If you could have earned those results by yourself, you would have done it already. My head coach has opened up a few spots on his high-demand calendar for an in-person, one-on-one strategy session to help you. On this call, we'll give you pragmatic advice that you can implement tonight to get laser-focused on the right metrics and leave mediocrity far behind in your past. Click that link right now in the description below and apply for your call immediately. Do it now.